My name is Sarah, and at 38, I watched my husband stand up at our anniversary party and tell everyone, including our 14-year-old daughter Emma, look at your mother, pathetic, lazy, useless. You'll ruin your life if you follow her. I stayed silent as the room laughed nervously and my daughter's eyes filled with tears. But by morning, Marcus was dragging garbage bags of his belongings to the curb while Emma helped me change the locks, his entire world destroyed by the very woman he'd called worthless. If you are watching this video right now, I would love to know where you're from. Drop it in the comment section below. Hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about family relationships that take unexpected turns. The morning light filtered through the pristine kitchen windows of the Mitchell house, casting long shadows across marble countertops that Sarah had polished twice already. It was 6:47 a.m., and she stood at the stove, carefully monitoring 3 different pans while her hands trembled almost imperceptibly. The bacon needed to be crispy but not burnt. Marcus had sent it back twice last week. The eggs needed to be over medium with completely set whites but runny yolks. A millimeter's difference would trigger a lecture about attention to detail. The coffee had to be exactly 176 degrees. He'd actually bought a thermometer to check. "Mom, have you seen my violin rosin?" Emma called from the living room, where she'd been practicing Pachelbel's canon for the past 40 minutes. At 14, she had her mother's delicate features and her father's sharp intelligence, though lately, Sarah noticed, she developed a watchfulness that no child should possess. "Check the music room drawer, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the knot at her stomach as she heard Marcus's footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, deliberate, each one a small announcement of his presence. Marcus Mitchell entered the kitchen at exactly 7 a.m., as he did every morning. At 42, he still cut an impressive figure, tall, broad-shouldered, with silver threading through his dark hair in a way that his colleagues called distinguished. His charcoal suit was perfectly pressed, his Yale Law class ring catching the light as he reached for his Financial Times. "The coffee's cold," he said without tasting it, without looking up from his paper. Sarah's hand was already reaching for the pot. "I'll make a fresh." "No need." His tone was magnanimous, forgiving. "I know how hard it is for you to manage simple tasks. I'll grab something at the office." He finally looked at her, his gray eyes conducting their morning inspection. "That dress makes you look heavier than you are. The partners' dinner is next Friday. Perhaps we should go shopping this weekend. Together. To ensure you make appropriate choices." Emma appeared in the doorway, violin case in hand, pretending she'd just arrived. Sarah saw her daughter's jaw tighten, noticed how she gripped the case handle until her knuckles went white. "Ready for school, Em?" Sarah asked brightly, desperately. "David got into Harvard early admission," Marcus announced, still reading his paper. David was his partner's son. Now, that's what proper focus looks like. Not this arts nonsense. He glanced at Emma's violin. "Though I suppose it looks good on college applications. As a minor extracurricular." Emma's face flushed. "I got first chair in the state youth orchestra."
Participation trophy.
Marcus folded his paper with surgical precision. "Success, Emma, is measured in dollars and influence. How much does a first-chair violinist make? Versus a corporate lawyer? Or a hedge fund manager?" He stood, buttoning his jacket. "Your mother, for instance, with her little—" He paused, savoring the word, "hobby of playing with colors and shapes on her computer. How much has that contributed to this household?" Sarah watched her daughter deflate. Last month, her freelance graphic design had actually brought in $3,000, but Marcus had moved it from their joint account so quickly she couldn't even show Emma the deposit slip. He kissed Sarah's forehead on his way out, his lips barely grazing her skin. "Try to do something productive today," he whispered, loud enough for Emma to hear. "Though we both know that's unlikely." The moment his Mercedes pulled out of the driveway, Sarah's shoulders sagged. Emma rushed to her, wrapping her arms around her mother's waist, something she hadn't done in months. "He's wrong," Emma whispered fiercely. "You're not." "Sure." Sarah stroked her daughter's hair. "You'll be late for school." After Emma left, Sarah went to the pantry and reached behind the flower bin for her hidden laptop. Her hand shook as she logged into her blog, The Invisible Woman, through 3 different VPNs, 100,000 followers. Women from around the world who understood what it was like to disappear piece by piece, to be erased so slowly you didn't notice until you caught your reflection and didn't recognize the ghost staring back. Today's post. He tells me I'm worthless so often that sometimes I catch myself believing it. The scariest part isn't his voice anymore. It's that his voice has become my voice. The comments flooded in immediately. Support. Love. Stories that mirrored her own. She was about to reply when she heard a car in the driveway. Panic shot through her. Marcus never came home, but it was Rebecca's red Tesla. Her younger sister didn't knock, just used her key and found Sarah hastily closing the laptop. "Working on your hobby?" Rebecca asked, her tone making it clear she knew better. At 35, Rebecca looked like Sarah might have in another life, confident, polished, with eyes that hadn't learned to look down when men spoke. Just some client work. Rebecca studied her sister's face, noting the careful makeup that didn't quite hide the exhaustion. "Sarah, I know things aren't ideal, but I've been talking to someone, a friend from Stanford Law. She specializes in—" "I can't." Sarah's voice was barely audible. "Emma's college fund, the house, everything's in his name. He's made sure of that." "What about Mom's inheritance?" Sarah's bitter laugh was answer enough. That money had disappeared into investments years ago. Rebecca reached for Sarah's wrist, pushing up the sleeve to reveal purple fingerprints. "When?" "It's not." He was just upset about a case. Sarah pulled her arm back. "You don't understand, Becca. He's not some obvious monster. He's Marcus Mitchell, senior partner, city council board member. His parents donate wings to hospitals." "I understand perfectly." Rebecca pulled out a business card. "Diana Winters. She's handled cases like yours. Quietly. Successfully." Sarah stared at the card like it might burn her. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. "Marcus, your credit card was declined at the grocery store. I've transferred $100 to your account. That should be more than enough if you shop wisely. Receipts required." Rebecca saw the text. Her face darkened. "Sarah, I need to get to the store." Sarah grabbed her purse. Emma needs things for her science project. That afternoon, while Sarah was designing a logo for a nonprofit, work Marcus didn't know about, Emma sat in her room, writing in a journal she kept hidden inside a hollowed-out textbook. "Day 1247, she wrote. "Dad told Mom her dress made her look fat. She'd lost weight, not gained it. I know because I saw her step on the scale 3 times yesterday. 76 pounds. She's disappearing." He grabbed her wrist again last Tuesday when he thought I was at practice. "I came back for my music sheets. I took a photo through the window. Evidence folder, subcategory, physical. File number 37. She'd been documenting for 3 years.
Videos, photos, audio recordings.
She'd learned to be invisible, to have her phone recording in her pocket, to position herself where she could capture things. She had a cloud storage account Rebecca had helped her set up, encrypted and backed up to multiple servers. That evening, Emma found her mother in the garden, tending to the roses she'd grown from her grandmother's seeds. It was the one place Marcus never went. He was allergic to bee stings and paranoid about the garden attracting them. "Mom," Emma sat beside her on the worn wooden bench. "I know about the blog." Sarah's hands stilled on the pruning shears. "I won't tell him," Emma continued quickly. I want you to know that I know. And I see you. The real you. Not the person he's trying to make you become." Sarah pulled her daughter close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, trying to memorize this moment of truth between them. "Your father loves us," Sarah said automatically, the words like ash in her mouth. "No," Emma said simply. "He doesn't. And we both know it." 3 weeks before the anniversary party that would change everything, Marcus's control began to tighten like a noose. Sarah first noticed it at his firm's quarterly celebration, a black tie affair at the Fairmont Hotel's ballroom. "Smile," Marcus hissed in her ear as they entered, his hand pressing too hard against the small of her back. Try to look like you belong here. Sarah wore the dress he'd chosen, a black sheath that he said minimized her flaws. She'd wanted to wear the emerald green one she'd bought with Rebecca, the one that made her feel alive, but Marcus had donated it to charity while she was at Emma's school conference. Mitchell, Thomas Bradford, senior partner, waved them over. And the lovely Sarah. Still playing with your little computer drawings? She keeps herself busy, Marcus answered for her, his laugh joining the men's. Someone has to make our Christmas cards look pretty. Sarah forced a smile while inside. Her latest client, a Fortune 500 company, had just approved her rebrand proposal for $50,000. The check would go to a P.O. box Rebecca had helped her set up. Marcus would never know. Actually, Janet Phillips, Marcus's secretary, interjected, I saw Sarah's work in the Design Monthly showcase. Very impressive. You must be proud, Marcus. Marcus's hand tightened on Sarah's waist, fingers digging in just below her ribs. Of course. Though between you and me, Janet, I think they were being charitable. Diversity quotas and all that. Sarah excused herself to the bathroom, where she found Janet following her. He's a bastard, Janet said bluntly, handing Sarah a business card. My sister runs this place. If you ever need somewhere to go, day or night. Sarah looked at the card, Serenity House Women's Shelter, then quickly tucked it into her purse. Janet, I don't. I've worked for him for 8 years, Janet interrupted. I've seen how he treats you, how he talks about you when you're not there. I've also seen the bills. The jewelry receipts that aren't for jewelry you wear. The restaurant charges for 2 when he tells everyone he's in depositions. Please don't. I'm not saying anything. But when you're ready, and you'll be ready, you call that number. When they returned home that night, Emma was waiting in the living room, pretending to read but obviously upset. How was the party? She asked carefully. Your mother embarrassed me, Marcus said, loosening his tie. As usual. Janet Phillips had to cover for her when she couldn't even discuss basic current events. It's like being married to a child. That's not true, Emma said quietly. Marcus turned slowly. Excuse me? I said that's not true. Mom's smart. She reads more than anyone I know. Reading romance novels and self-help blogs doesn't count as intelligence, Emma. His voice had dropped to that dangerous whisper Sarah knew too well. Your mother is what we call a cautionary tale. Pretty enough to marry, not smart enough to matter. Is that what you want to become? Emma stood up, her hands trembling. I want to become like her.
Kind.
Creative. Strong. The crack of Marcus's hand on the marble counter made them both jump. Strong? Your mother is pathetic. She can't even buy groceries without my permission. She'd be homeless without me. Is that strength? Marcus, please, Sarah started. You want to defend her? He turned on Emma.
Fine.
Let's see how strong Mommy is. Sarah, tell Emma about your big graphic design success. Tell her about your impressive client list. Go on. Sarah's mouth opened, but no words came. How could she explain the hidden accounts, the secret success, without endangering everything? That's what I thought. Marcus's smile was cold. Nothing. Because there is nothing. Your mother is nothing without me. Emma ran to her room. Sarah heard the door slam, then something else, the faint sound of a phone recording being saved. Her daughter was getting better at documenting without being noticed. The next morning, Emma deliberately failed her calculus test. When the school called, Marcus was in court, so they reached Sarah. This isn't like Emma, Mrs. Patterson, the guidance counselor, said. She's been withdrawn lately. Missing assignments. Is everything okay at home? Before Sarah could answer, Marcus's voice cut in. He'd been listening on the other line. I apologize for this, Mrs. Patterson. Sarah's been struggling with some mental health issues, anxiety, paranoia. I'm afraid it's affecting Emma. We're getting Sarah help. Sarah's blood ran cold. After the call, Marcus appeared in the kitchen. Mental health issues? Sarah asked. Well, you are taking anxiety medication, aren't you? And seeing that therapist? What would people think if they knew how unstable you really are? He pulled out his phone, showing her a recording of her crying in the bathroom last week, talking to herself, or so it seemed. She'd actually been on the phone with Rebecca, but the angle only showed her, looking deranged. How did you? I installed cameras. For security. His smile was satisfied. Amazing what they pick up. Emma had heard everything from the stairs. That night, she used her phone to scan for wireless signals and found 8 hidden cameras throughout the house. She mapped their locations, their blind spots, and shared everything with Aunt Rebecca through an encrypted messaging app. Rebecca acted immediately. She came over the next day while Marcus was at work, supposedly to help plan the anniversary party. "Sarah, we need to talk about the party menu," she said loudly, leading her sister to the garage, the only place Emma hadn't found cameras. "He's escalating. The cameras, the mental health narrative, he's building a case." "For what? To have you committed. Or to take Emma. Or both." Rebecca pulled out bank statements. "I've been tracking some things. He's been moving money. Large amounts. And there's something else." She showed Sarah a photo from a private investigator. Marcus at a jewelry store with a young woman, blonde, laughing, her hand on his arm. Her name's Vanessa Sterling. She's a paralegal at his firm. 26 years old. Sarah stared at the photo, feeling something she hadn't expected, relief. An affair meant she wasn't crazy. It meant there was proof he was the problem, not her. "There's more," Rebecca continued. "I had my investigator do some digging. This isn't Marcus's first affair. But here's the interesting part. Vanessa's been posting on social media about big changes coming and dreams coming true. She thinks he's leaving you. Maybe he is."
No.
Rebecca's voice was grim. "He's not the leaving type. He's the destroying type. The anniversary party, Sarah, I think he's planning something." That weekend, Marcus's mother Eleanor arrived to help with party planning. She swept into the house like a cold wind, immediately criticizing everything from the curtain choice to Emma's posture. "Marcus, darling," she said at dinner, "you look exhausted. Is Sarah helping at all with your stress?" "Mother, you know Sarah does her best," Marcus replied, his tone suggesting otherwise. "We can't all be as capable as you." Eleanor preened. "Well, I did raise 3 successful children while running a household and hosting her father's political campaigns. But then I had proper breeding. Good family preparation." She looked at Sarah. "Where did you say you were from again, dear?" "Ohio," Sarah said quietly. "Oh, yes. That explains so much." Emma suddenly stood up. "I'm not feeling well." "Sit down," Marcus commanded. "You're being rude to your grandmother." "Let her go," Sarah said, standing too. "She's been stressed with school." "Because you've been filling her head with your anxiety," Marcus snapped. "Mother's right. You're not equipped for this. You never were." That night, Sarah found Emma in her room, typing furiously on her laptop. "What are you working on?" Emma hesitated, then turned the screen. It was a document titled Evidence Log. Dates, times, incidents, all meticulously recorded with corresponding file numbers. "I've been sending copies to Aunt Rebecca," Emma said. "And to someone else. Someone who can help."
Emma, no.
"If your father finds out." "He won't." Emma's eyes were older than her years. "I'm smarter than he thinks. We both are." The next week, Sarah had a job interview at Morrison Design Group, one of the city's top firms. She'd applied secretly, using Rebecca's address. The creative director, Catherine Morrison, had been impressed by her portfolio. The interview was going perfectly until Marcus walked in. "I'm so sorry," he said to Catherine, his charm on full display. "This is my wife. She's been having some episodes lately. Delusions of grandeur, I'm afraid. She's not well." "Mr. Mitchell," Catherine said coolly, "your wife is here for a legitimate interview. Her portfolio is exceptional. I'm sure she's shown you her best work. Probably didn't mention she's never held a real job, though. Or that she's on medication for psychological issues." He turned to Sarah, his voice gentle, concerned. "Honey, did you take your pills today? You know how confused you get." Sarah's humiliation was complete. But as they left, Catherine's assistant, Jennifer, slipped her a note. We know what he is. The job is yours when you're ready. Start date, November 1st. November 1st, the day after the anniversary party. That evening, while Marcus was at his client dinner, Vanessa had posted Instagram photos from the same restaurant. Sarah did something she'd never done before. She went through his home office. In a locked drawer, the key hidden in his Harvard paperweight, she found everything. Offshore account statements, tax documents that didn't match what they'd filed, client trust accounts with suspicious withdrawals, and a file labeled SM commitment papers with forms partially filled out for involuntary psychiatric hold. She photographed everything, her hands shaking so badly she had to retake several shots. Then she found the worst part, a draft email to Emma's school stating Sarah had been making threats against herself and others, requiring immediate intervention. The date on the draft? October 31st, the day of their anniversary party. Sarah understood now. He was going to destroy her publicly, have her committed, and take Emma, all while playing the devoted husband dealing with a mentally ill wife. She put everything back exactly as she'd found it, then went to the bathroom and vomited. When she came out, Emma was standing in the hallway. Mom, I heard Dad on the phone. He was talking to someone about papers. About signing something on the 31st. Sarah pulled her daughter close. Baby, I need you to listen very carefully. Whatever happens at the party, whatever you see or hear, remember that I love you. And remember that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is tell the truth. Mom, you're scaring me. I know, but we're going to be okay. I promise. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stood at the window, watching the street, planning. She had 2 weeks. 2 weeks to gather everything she needed, to protect Emma, to find a way out of the trap Marcus had spent years constructing. She didn't know that Emma was awake too, sending encrypted files to Diana Winters, the lawyer Rebecca had recommended. Or that Rebecca had already liquidated stocks to create an escape fund. Or that Janet Phillips was documenting every suspicious charge on Marcus's corporate card. The chess pieces were moving into position. Marcus thought he was playing alone, moving Sarah like a pawn toward inevitable capture. He had no idea she'd already become the queen. 10 days before the anniversary party, Sarah discovered the full scope of Marcus's betrayal in the most mundane way possible, a misdirected Amazon delivery. The package was addressed to Vanessa Sterling, but the delivery address was their home. Inside was a pregnancy test multipack and prenatal vitamins. Sarah stared at the items, her mind calculating dates, remembering Marcus's sudden increase in late meetings for months ago. She was photographing the shipping label when Marcus's car pulled into the driveway, 3 hours early. Sarah quickly resealed the package and left it on the porch, then retreated to the kitchen, forcing her hands to stop shaking as she peeled potatoes for dinner. "Why are you home?" she asked as he entered, trying to keep her voice neutral. The Hartley deposition was postponed. He looked irritated, then noticed the package by the door. His face went carefully blank as he read the label. "Must be a delivery error. I'll handle it." That evening, Sarah heard him on the phone in his office, voice low and urgent. "No, you can't send things here. I don't care if your apartment building has package thieves. The party is in 10 days, can't you wait?" Emma appeared beside Sarah in the hallway, both of them listening. Emma held up her phone, she was recording. They retreated to Sarah's bedroom, where Emma showed her mother something on her laptop. "I hacked into Dad's personal email," Emma whispered. "I know it's illegal, but Mom, look." The emails between Marcus and Vanessa painted a clear picture. She was 4 months pregnant. Marcus had promised to divorce Sarah after the party, claiming he needed to handle things delicately to protect his assets. He'd even shown Vanessa the commitment papers, telling her Sarah was dangerously unstable and needed to be institutionalized for everyone's safety. "She thinks she's saving him," Emma said with disgust. "She actually thinks she's rescuing him from you." Sarah felt something cold and hard crystallize in her chest. She's 26. Pregnant. Believing his lies. She's a victim too, Emma. She's sleeping with a married man.
Yes.
But she's also being manipulated by someone who's had decades to perfect his technique. Sarah closed the laptop. We need to be smarter than he is. The next morning, Rebecca arrived with Diana Winters, the lawyer she'd been consulting. Diana was not what Sarah expected, late 50s, silver-haired, with the kind of quiet authority that came from winning battles no one thought could be won. They met in Rebecca's car, driving around the neighborhood to avoid any potential surveillance. I've reviewed everything Emma and Rebecca have sent me, Diana said. You have grounds for divorce, certainly. But Marcus is more vulnerable than you know. The financial crimes alone could result in federal charges. He'll destroy me if I try to leave, Sarah said. He has everything. No, Diana interrupted. He has control. That's different from having everything. Control is an illusion that requires your participation. The moment you stop participating, the illusion crumbles. She pulled out a tablet, showing Sarah a series of documents. Your mother's inheritance. The money you thought was gone? It's not. He moved it, yes, but stupidly. The transactions are all traceable. He put it in accounts under his name only, which violates the prenuptial agreement. That alone voids the entire contract. Sarah's heart raced. The prenup has a fidelity clause. With proof of the affair and the pregnancy, you're entitled to 70% of all assets, not the 20% he's threatened you with. Diana smiled grimly. Moreover, I've been in touch with 3 of his former clients who are willing to testify about financial irregularities. Eleanor Mitchell has also been calling my office. Eleanor? His mother? She discovered he's been stealing from her. She's considering pressing charges unless he makes restitution. She wanted to know if you knew about it. Sarah laughed, but it sounded hollow. She'll never choose me over him. Don't be so sure. Eleanor Mitchell is many things, but she's not stupid. She knows which way the wind is blowing. That afternoon, while Marcus was at work, Sarah did something she'd never done before. She called Vanessa Sterling. Hello. The voice was young, nervous. Vanessa? This is Sarah Mitchell. A long pause. Mrs. Mitchell, I don't think. I'm not calling to yell at you. I'm calling to warn you. Has Marcus given you any money recently? Any large gifts? That's none of your.
Please.
Just answer. Has he given you money? He gave me $30,000. For baby expenses. Why? Sarah closed her eyes. That money was from my daughter's college fund. It's traceable. When this comes out, and it will come out, you'll be named as a co-conspirator in embezzlement. That's ridiculous. Marcus said the money was from his bonus. Marcus says a lot of things. Has he told you about his first wife? You're his first wife. No, I'm not. Her name was Jennifer. The marriage was annulled because he lied about his identity. His real name isn't even Marcus Mitchell. Silence. Then, you're lying. You're just trying to. His real name is Martin Sawyer. Look it up. Baltimore County Records, 1998. Sarah kept her voice calm. I'm not your enemy, Vanessa. We're both victims here. The difference is, I've had 15 years to see through his lies. You've had, 6 months? I'm hanging up.
Wait.
The anniversary party. Whatever he's told you about it, whatever he's planning, be careful. He's dangerous when cornered. The line went dead. 3 days later, Dr. James Patterson, Marcus's mentor, came for dinner. Sarah had always liked him, a dignified man in his 70s who treated her with genuine respect. During dessert, while Marcus took a call, Dr. Patterson leaned toward Sarah. You've lost weight, my dear. Just busy with party planning, Sarah deflected. He studied her with keen eyes. My daughter went through something similar. With her first husband. Took her years to find the courage to leave.
He paused.
She had help when she was ready. Good lawyers. Discreet ones. Sarah's eyes widened. He knew. Dr. Patterson continued conversationally, as if discussing the weather. I've been noticing some irregularities in the firm's books. Cases Marcus handled. Client complaints. I've been documenting everything, of course. One must be thorough in such matters. Dr. Patterson. James, please. And Sarah? Whatever happens at this party Marcus is so insistent about, know that you have friends. More than you realize. The next day, Sarah was in the garden when Emma ran out, panic in her eyes. Mom, Dad's home. He has Grandma Eleanor with him. And some other man. Sarah went inside to find Marcus in the living room with his mother and a stranger in a cheap suit. Sarah, Marcus said smoothly, this is Dr. Bradley. He's a psychiatrist. Mother's concerned about your recent behavior. Sarah's blood went cold. This was happening now.
Not at the party now.
I don't understand, she said carefully. Dr. Bradley stepped forward. Mrs. Mitchell, your family is concerned about your mental state. They've reported erratic behavior, paranoia, secretive actions. She's been hiding money, Eleanor said, producing a bank statement, Rebecca's secret account. Preparing to kidnap Emma and disappear. How had they found it? I've also been told you've been neglecting your household duties, Dr. Bradley continued, exhibiting signs of delusional thinking. Stop. Emma's voice cut through the room. She stood in the doorway with her phone. I'm streaming this live to Instagram. 3,000 people are watching. She turned the phone toward Dr. Bradley. Are you aware that attempting to involuntarily commit someone without proper cause is a federal crime, Dr. Bradley? Or should I say, Mr. Bradley? You're not a real doctor, are you? The man's face went white. Emma continued, her voice steady. I did a quick search. You lost your license 3 years ago for insurance fraud. Dad hired you to pretend to evaluate Mom. She turned to Eleanor. Grandma, did you know about this? Or did Dad lie to you too? Eleanor's face was a mask of shock. Marcus, what is she talking about? The girl's lying, Marcus started. No, I'm not. Emma pulled up something on her phone. Here's Mr. Bradley's, not Doctor, mugshot from his arrest. Here's the news article about his license being revoked. And here's the Venmo payment from Dad to him yesterday for $5,000 with a note, consultation fee. The fake psychiatrist grabbed his bag and practically ran from the house. Eleanor sank into a chair, staring at her son. You lied to me, she said quietly. You said Sarah was dangerous. That she needed help. She does. Marcus's mask was slipping. She's poisoning Emma against me.
I'm poisoning Emma.
Sarah found her voice. You just tried to have me illegally committed. You need help. Marcus roared. You're sick. You're useless. You can't even. Can't even what? Sarah stepped forward. Can't even run a household while you steal my inheritance? Can't even raise our daughter while you're sleeping with your paralegal? Can't even maintain my sanity while you tell me every day that I'm worthless? Marcus's face went purple. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth. Sarah pulled out her phone. Should I play the recording of you telling Vanessa that I'm pathetic? Or the one where you're planning to have me committed? Or maybe the one where you're discussing hiding assets with your lawyer? Eleanor stood slowly. Marcus Jonathan Mitchell. Or should I say, Martin Sawyer? Marcus went still. His mother continued. You think I'm stupid? You think I haven't had investigators of my own? I know about Baltimore. I know about Jennifer. I know you've been stealing from me for years, hiding it in the same offshore accounts where you hide your clients' money. Mother. Don't. Her voice was ice. I've already spoken to the FBI. They're very interested in your financial activities. I gave them everything. She turned to Sarah. I apologize, my dear. I was complicit in my silence. But no more. She walked to the door, then paused. The party is in 5 days. I suggest you use that time to get your affairs in order, Marcus. Because after that, you won't have the opportunity. The morning of October 31st dawned gray and drizzling, as if the weather itself knew what was coming. Sarah stood at her bedroom window at 5 a.m., already dressed in the conservative black dress Marcus had laid out for her. Underneath, she wore the emerald green dress Rebecca had saved from the donation pile. Emma appeared in her doorway, pale but determined. I'm not going to school today. Emma, I'm not leaving you alone with him. Not today. She held up her phone. Aunt Rebecca's on her way. So is Diana. And look. She showed Sarah her Instagram. The video of the fake psychiatrist had gone viral, 2 million views and climbing. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive, with thousands of women sharing their own stories. Marcus emerged from his office where he'd spent the night, his appearance haggard. "Take that video down."
Now.
"No," Emma said simply. His hand raised reflexively, and both Sarah and Emma flinched. But he caught himself, perhaps remembering the cameras Emma had warned him about, though he didn't know she controlled them now. "After tonight," he said quietly, "everything changes. You'll see." The party was scheduled for 6 p.m. By noon, the caterers had arrived, transforming the house into an elegant venue. Marcus supervised every detail, his control maniac, checking and rechecking arrangements. Sarah found a moment to slip into the bathroom, where she called Diana. "We're ready," Diana assured her. "Officers are on standby. The moment he makes a move." "What if he doesn't? What if he just humiliates me?" "Then you endure it, document it, and we use it in court."
But Sarah?
"I don't think he's going to be able to control himself. Not with everything closing in." By 4 p.m., Sarah was in the kitchen when she overheard Marcus on the phone. "Just get here early. Bring the papers. If she won't sign voluntarily, we'll need witnesses to her instability." Vanessa arrived at 5 p.m., wearing a tight red dress that showed her baby bump and the diamond necklace Sarah had found weeks ago. She looked triumphant as she walked in on Marcus's arm. "This is my assistant," Marcus announced to his arriving parents. "She'll be helping coordinate tonight." Eleanor, who had arrived despite everything, looked at Vanessa with undisguised contempt. How professional. The guests began arriving, partners from the firm, city council members, neighbors, family friends. Sarah greeted them all with perfect composure, even as whispers followed her. They'd all seen Emma's video. They all knew something was happening. Rebecca and her boyfriend Michael, Dr. Patterson's son, a gentle pediatrician, stayed close to Sarah. Diana was there too, ostensibly as Rebecca's plus one, but Sarah saw her positioning herself strategically, phone always ready. At 7 p.m., Marcus clinked his glass for attention. The room fell silent. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate 15 years of marriage," he began, his smile not reaching his eyes. 15 years of patience. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. "You see," Marcus continued, "marriage is about sacrifice, about one partner often carrying the weight of the other. And I want to publicly acknowledge the weight I've been carrying." Sarah felt everyone's eyes on her. "My wife, Sarah, has struggled. With mental illness, with delusions, with an inability to contribute meaningfully to our household or our daughter's upbringing." Gasps echoed through the room. Dr. Patterson started forward, but his son held him back. Marcus continued, warming to his theme. "Despite my efforts to help her, therapy, medication, even a recent psychiatric evaluation, she continues to deteriorate. Which is why tonight, I'm announcing that Sarah will be taking an extended rest at a facility that specializes in..." "Liar." Emma's voice cut through the room. She stood on the staircase, phone in hand. "Emma, sweetheart." Marcus's voice was warning. "You're confused." "I'm not confused. You are." She came down the stairs. "Dad, you've been telling everyone Mom is crazy. Unstable. Useless." Her voice grew stronger. "But I have something to show everyone." "Emma, don't." 3 years of recordings.
Videos. Audio.
Evidence. She connected her phone to the TV Marcus had set up for the anniversary slideshow. "This is who my father really is." The first video played, Marcus shoving Sarah into a wall. Then another, him screaming that she was worthless. Then another, him telling Vanessa his plan to institutionalize Sarah. The room erupted. Vanessa's face went white as she heard Marcus call her a temporary distraction in one recording. The law partners were frantically typing on their phones. Eleanor stood frozen, watching her son exposed. "Turn it off," Marcus roared, lunging for the TV. Michael and Rebecca blocked him. "I don't think so," Michael said quietly. The videos kept playing. Marcus stealing money. Marcus with a fake psychiatrist. Marcus drugging Sarah's drinks to make her appear unstable at social events. It's fake, Marcus screamed. She's coached Emma. It's all lies. Actually, a new voice said from the doorway, it's all admissible evidence. 2 FBI agents entered, badges visible. Marcus Mitchell, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy to commit involuntary confinement. You can't. This is my house. These are my guests. As the agents cuffed him, he turned to Sarah, his face twisted with rage. You're nothing without me. You're useless. Pathetic. You'll be homeless in a month. Sarah stepped forward, pulling off the black dress to reveal the emerald green one underneath. Actually, I just signed a contract as creative director at Morrison Design. $60,000 more than you make. The house is in my mother's trust. You never had claim to it. And Emma? She recorded everything you just said. Marcus lunged at her, but the agents held him back. As they dragged him toward the door, he made one last desperate plea to Emma. Baby girl, Daddy loves you. Don't let her poison you against me. Emma walked up to him, standing tall despite her tears. You told me my mother was useless.
Pathetic.
Lazy. That I'd ruin my life if I followed her. She took a breath. But here's what I see. A woman who survived 15 years of your abuse and still had the strength to protect me. A woman who built a career while you tried to destroy her. A woman who gathered an army of supporters while you thought she was alone. She stepped back, standing beside Sarah. She's not useless. You are. And tomorrow morning, you'll be the one packing your things, not her. The FBI agents led Marcus out as the guests stood in stunned silence. Then slowly, Dr. Patterson began to clap. Then Rebecca. Then Diana. Soon, the entire room was applauding, not for an anniversary, but for a liberation. Vanessa, crying, approached Sarah.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know. I tried to warn you, Sarah said, not unkindly. Get a good lawyer. You'll need one. As the guests dispersed, offering support and apologies for not seeing sooner, Sarah stood in her ruined party, mascara smeared, hair disheveled, and felt something she hadn't experienced in 15 years. Freedom. That night, Sarah and Emma stayed at Rebecca's. They ordered pizza and watched movies, Emma curled against her mother's side. Mom, Emma asked, what happens now? Sarah stroked her daughter's hair. Now? Now we learn who we really are when no one's telling us we're worthless. I already know who you are, Emma said sleepily. You're my hero. As Emma drifted off to sleep, Sarah's phone buzzed with messages. Job congratulations from Catherine Morrison. Support from her blog followers who'd recognized her story. A text from Diana saying Marcus was being held without bail due to flight risk. The last message was from Eleanor. The movers will be there at 8 a.m. to pack his things. I'll supervise. You and Emma sleep in. You've earned it. Sarah smiled, remembering Marcus's words from that terrible dinner. Look at your mother, pathetic, lazy, useless. By morning, he was the one being erased from their lives, one garbage bag at a time. The first Monday after Marcus's arrest, Sarah walked into Morrison Design Group, wearing a suit she'd bought with her own money. A deep blue that made her feel powerful rather than invisible. Catherine Morrison herself greeted her at reception. Ready to start your new life? Catherine asked. I've been ready for 15 years, Sarah replied. Her first day should have been triumphant, but her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Marcus had been released on bail that morning. His firm had posted the $2 million despite firing him the previous Friday. His lawyer, Richard Stern, was already on the offensive. Mrs. Mitchell, Stern's voice oozed through her phone during lunch. I'm calling to inform you that we're filing charges against you for defamation, alienation of affection, parental manipulation, and theft of proprietary information. We're also seeking immediate custody of Emma based on your documented mental health issues. Sarah's hand shook as she set down her sandwich. My documented. Your therapy records. Your anxiety medication. The multiple witnesses to your erratic behavior. My client was trying to get you help. Instead, you orchestrated an elaborate hoax to destroy him. That's We have experts who will testify that the videos were doctored, that you coached your daughter, that you've been planning this for years as evidenced by your secret blog where you admit to fantasizing about your husband's destruction." The line went dead. Sarah immediately called Diana, who laughed darkly. "Richard Stern. Of course Marcus hired him. He's known for destroying women in court. Lost his own wife to suicide during their divorce, but he won the case." "Diana, don't panic. Stern's tactics only work on women without support systems. You're not alone anymore." That evening, Sarah returned to the house, her house, she reminded herself, to find it vandalized. Someone had spray-painted, "Lying bitch," across the garage door. The security footage showed a figure in a hoodie, but Emma recognized the walk immediately. "That's Dad," she said quietly. "He does this thing with his shoulder when he's angry." Diana added it to the restraining order violation file, but the damage to Sarah's reputation had begun. Marcus's supporters, mostly men from his firm and golf club, started a whisper campaign. Sarah found herself being stared at in grocery stores, whispered about at Emma's school events. But something unexpected happened. For every person who believed Marcus's narrative, 3 more stepped forward with their own stories. Janet Phillips, Marcus's former secretary, went to Diana's office with boxes of documents. "I've been keeping copies of everything for 8 years, she said. "Every questionable transaction, every forged signature, every client complaint he made disappear." Then came the other women. Jennifer Dalton, Marcus's first wife, called from Baltimore. "I've been following the case. I was 19 when I married Martin Marcus. He convinced me I was crazy too. It took me 10 years of therapy to realize I wasn't." Another call. "My name is Patricia Thornton. Marcus was my lawyer during my divorce 5 years ago. He convinced me to sign papers that left me with nothing, then propositioned me when I was at my lowest. I have the texts." And another. "I'm Linda Harrison. I was a paralegal at his firm 7 years ago. He sexually harassed me, then had me fired when I refused him. I have recordings." Diana's office became the war room. Emma spent her afternoons there after school, organizing evidence with a precision that impressed even the legal assistants. She created a database cross-referencing every piece of evidence with corresponding testimony. "Your daughter's brilliant," Diana told Sarah. "Has she considered law school?" "She's 14, Sarah reminded her. 14 going on 40, thanks to what she's been through." Diana's expression softened. How's she really doing? The truth was complicated. Emma was seeing Dr. Lisa Brennan, a therapist specializing in children of narcissistic parents. Some days were good. Others, Emma would wake up screaming from nightmares where Marcus was dragging her away from Sarah. 2 weeks into the legal battle, Marcus made his next move. Sarah was at work when Catherine called her into her office. "There's a man here claiming to be a process server," Catherine said. "But security's not sure. He seems aggressive." Sarah looked at the security monitor. It was Marcus himself, wearing a fake uniform, trying to personally serve her papers in front of her new colleagues. "Call the police," Sarah said calmly. "He's violating a restraining order." Marcus was arrested again, this time in full view of Sarah's co-workers. As he was led away, he screamed, "She's poisoning my daughter against me. She's the abuser. Look into her background. Her mother was institutionalized." That night, Sarah had to explain to Emma about her grandmother's depression, how she'd been hospitalized after miscarriage when Sarah was young, a story Marcus had twisted into genetic insanity. "So Grandma wasn't crazy?" Emma asked. "No, baby. She was grieving. There's a difference." Marcus's next tactic was financial warfare. Despite the asset freeze, he'd hidden enough money to hire a team of lawyers and private investigators. They dug into Sarah's past, looking for anything to use against her. They found her college boyfriend, David, who admitted Sarah had smoked marijuana at a party 20 years ago. They found a speeding ticket from 2015. They even interviewed her high school English teacher, trying to get her to say Sarah had been troubled. But for every stone they turned, Diana's team found boulders. The forensic accountant discovered Marcus had been embezzling for 12 years, not 5. The FBI expanded their investigation to include tax evasion and money laundering. Then Vanessa Sterling became their star witness. Now 7 months pregnant and facing potential charges as an accomplice, Vanessa had finally seen the truth. She arrived at Diana's office with a suitcase of evidence. "He recorded us," she said, pale and shaking. "Every intimate moment. He said it was for us to enjoy later, but I found videos of other women too. Women who didn't know they were being filmed." The recordings were from Marcus's home office. He'd been surveilling his own affairs for years, creating what amounted to blackmail material. Diana immediately contacted the other women, and 3 more victims came forward. "This changes everything," Diana explained to Sarah. "This isn't just domestic abuse anymore. It's sexual exploitation, potentially revenge porn if he ever distributed these. We're looking at serious federal charges." The trial date was set for January, but Marcus couldn't wait. He started showing up at Emma's school, standing just outside the legal boundary, watching. Emma's grades dropped.
She stopped eating.
"I can't do this, Mom," Emma said one night, crying in Sarah's arms. "Every time I close my eyes, I see him." Sarah made a decision. She pulled Emma out of school, enrolling her in an online academy. She worked from home when she could, and Rebecca covered the rest. They turned isolation into protection. Marcus's lawyer fought back by releasing Sarah's therapy records, obtained illegally but damaging nonetheless. The blog followers who'd supported her saw her deepest fears, her moments of suicidal ideation from years past, her struggles with self-worth. But instead of destroying her, it humanized her. The hashtag We Believe Sarah trended for 3 days. Women shared their own therapy records, their own struggles, normalizing what Marcus had tried to weaponize. Dr. Patterson, Marcus's former mentor, went public with his support. In an op-ed for the Washington Post, he wrote, "I watched Marcus Mitchell systematically destroy his wife for years and said nothing. My silence was complicity. The legal system that enabled him was complicity. We must do better." The law firm, facing public backlash and federal investigation, threw Marcus under the bus completely. William Foster, the managing partner, held a press conference announcing they were cooperating fully with authorities and had discovered widespread financial irregularities in Marcus's cases going back a decade. Marcus's response was to post bail and immediately violate the restraining order again, this time showing up at Sarah's house at 3 a.m., drunk and raging. "You've destroyed everything," he screamed at the windows. "You worthless bitch. You've turned everyone against me. Even my mother." Eleanor had indeed chosen sides. She'd moved in with Sarah and Emma temporarily, helping with security and childcare. When Marcus saw his mother's car in the driveway, something in him snapped entirely. He grabbed a baseball bat from his car and started smashing windows. Sarah called 911 while Eleanor stood at the front door with Emma's field hockey stick, ready to defend her granddaughter. "You always loved her more than me," Marcus screamed at his mother. "You're all crazy. All of you." The police arrived as he was trying to break down the door. This time, the judge revoked bail entirely. Marcus would await trial from jail. Christmas came with Marcus behind bars, and for the first time in 15 years, Sarah decorated the tree however she wanted. Emma hung ornaments without worrying about them being perfectly symmetrical, and Eleanor made cocoa with too many marshmallows, something Marcus had always forbidden as excessive. But the peace was deceptive. Richard Stern had been busy, filing motion after motion, trying to get the case dismissed on technicalities. He'd also been feeding stories to sympathetic media outlets, painting Marcus as a successful man brought down by a vindictive ex-wife. Why do some people believe him? Emma asked one morning, reading comments on a news article. "Because it's easier," Sarah explained, "to believe that I'm evil than to believe someone like your father, educated, successful, charming, could be a monster. If someone like him can be dangerous, then no one is safe. That terrifies people." The investigation into Marcus's past revealed more disturbing patterns. Diana's investigator found 3 women from Marcus's college years who'd filed complaints about him, all mysteriously withdrawn after the women transferred schools. His juvenile records, supposedly sealed, revealed an assault charge at 15 that his wealthy parents had made disappear. He's been doing this his whole life, Diana told Sarah. You weren't his first victim, but you're going to be his last. In early January, a week before the trial, Eleanor made a shocking discovery while going through old family documents for the FBI. She found Marcus's real birth certificate, not the forged one he'd been using. He's not my biological son, Eleanor told Sarah, stunned. My husband had an affair. Marcus's real mother was a woman named Margaret Sawyer. She had a history of mental illness and violence. My husband paid her off, and we raised Marcus as our own. The revelation explained so much. Marcus's fear of genetic insanity, his obsession with breeding and proper families, his rage at any suggestion of mental illness. Sarah felt an unexpected pity. He spent his whole life running from the truth about himself. Don't, Eleanor said sharply. Don't you dare feel sorry for him. Whatever his origins, he chose cruelty. Every day he chose it. The trial preparation intensified. Emma worked with prosecutors, reviewing her testimony until she could recite it without crying. Sarah underwent mock cross-examinations, learning to stay calm when Stern tried to trigger her. Then, 3 days before trial, Marcus tried to kill himself in jail. He'd hoarded pills, taking them all at once. A guard found him unconscious, foam at his mouth, a note beside him. Sarah did this. She destroyed me. Tell Emma her mother is a murderer. He survived, barely, and was placed on suicide watch. Stern tried to use it to delay the trial, arguing Marcus was mentally incompetent. But the psychiatrist who evaluated him was thorough. Mr. Mitchell is experiencing narcissistic collapse, Dr. Amanda White testified at the competency hearing. His entire false self has been exposed. He's not insane, he's a narcissist facing consequences for the first time in his life. He's competent to stand trial. The suicide attempt backfired spectacularly. Those who'd been sympathetic to Marcus saw it as manipulation, not desperation. Even his remaining supporters began to distance themselves. But Marcus wasn't done. From his hospital bed, he managed to contact a cousin, Thomas Mitchell, convincing him that Sarah was dangerous. Thomas began stalking Sarah, following her to work, photographing her, posting the images online with captions about the woman who destroyed my family. Rebecca's boyfriend Michael confronted Thomas, and the encounter was caught on security cameras. Your cousin is a predator, Michael said calmly, and you're enabling him. How many women have to suffer before you see the truth? Thomas threw a punch. Michael, trained in self-defense, easily subdued him. Thomas was arrested, and the incident made the news, further damaging Marcus's narrative. The trial began on January 15th. Sarah sat in the courtroom, Emma beside her, surrounded by supporters. Rebecca, Eleanor, Diana's team, Dr. Patterson, Catherine Morrison, even some of her blog followers who'd flown in from around the country. Marcus entered in shackles. Thin from his suicide attempt, his former commanding presence reduced to hollow desperation. When he saw Eleanor sitting with Sarah, his face crumbled. Mother, he called out, please. Eleanor turned away. The prosecutor, ADA Catherine Walsh, opened with a simple statement. This is a case about power, control, and what happens when a woman says no more. The evidence was overwhelming. Financial records showing years of theft. Medical records documenting Sarah's poisoning. The illegal surveillance videos Marcus had made. Testimony from victim after victim. When Janet Phillips testified about finding Marcus's conquest list, a detailed record of women he'd manipulated, rated by difficulty level, several jurors visibly recoiled. Jennifer, his first wife, testified via video link, too afraid to be in the same room as Marcus even with guards present. He told me I was worthless so many times. I tried to make it true. I attempted suicide twice during our marriage. He visited me in the hospital and said if I really wanted to die, I should have done it right. Patricia Thornton showed the texts Marcus had sent after her divorce. You're mine now. Your ex-husband threw you away, but I'll keep you if you behave. Linda Harrison played the recording of Marcus threatening to destroy her career if she reported his harassment. "You're nobody. I'm Marcus Mitchell. Who do you think they'll believe?" But the most damaging testimony came from Vanessa. Now 8 months pregnant, she took the stand shakily. "He told me Sarah was abusive, that she was mentally ill, that he was protecting Emma." She looked at Sarah. "I'm sorry. I believed him, because I wanted to. He made me feel special. Chosen." She produced her phone, showing texts from Marcus. "Once Sarah's committed, we'll have everything. Her inheritance, the house, even Emma, if we play it right. You'll be the perfect stepmother. Young, beautiful, controllable." Controllable, the prosecutor asked. That's what he wanted. Someone he could shape. He said Sarah had been perfect once, but she'd gotten uppity after her blog became popular. He couldn't have that. When Sarah took the stand, she spoke for 2 days. Calmly, clearly, she detailed 15 years of systematic abuse. She showed the bruises, the financial records, the medical documentation of her poisoning. Richard Stern's cross-examination was brutal. "Isn't it true you've been planning this for years? Your blog started 3 years ago, right when you began your conspiracy to frame my client." "I started my blog," Sarah replied steadily, "because I was drowning and needed to know I wasn't alone. I never used Marcus's name. I never thought I'd have the courage to leave. I was just trying to survive." "You poisoned your daughter against her father." "I protected my daughter from her abuser." "There's a difference. You're mentally ill. You take anxiety medication." "Yes, I take medication for anxiety caused by 15 years of abuse." "Taking care of mental health isn't weakness, Mr. Stern. It's strength." When Emma testified, the courtroom was silent. She spoke clearly, maturely, describing years of watching her father destroy her mother. "He told me she was useless," Emma said, looking directly at Marcus. "But every useless thing he said he was actually describing himself. Mom's not the one who lies, steals, cheats, and hurts people. That's him." Marcus couldn't contain himself. "Emma, baby, she's brainwashed you." "No." Emma stood up in the witness box. "You brainwashed me. You tried to make me believe love looked like control. That strength meant cruelty. But I know better now. Mom taught me better." Marcus's defense was pathetic. He claimed Sarah had orchestrated everything, that the videos were deepfakes, that the women testifying were lying for money. But when he took the stand himself, his narcissism betrayed him. Under cross-examination, he accidentally admitted to the financial crimes while trying to explain why Sarah didn't deserve the money. He flew into a rage when asked about Vanessa, calling her a stupid girl who couldn't keep her mouth shut. When asked about the suicide attempt, he smirked. "I knew they'd save me. I just needed people to see what Sarah had driven me to." The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. 47 charges including attempted murder, embezzlement, fraud, stalking, sexual exploitation, and conspiracy to commit involuntary confinement. As the verdict was read, Marcus stared at Sarah with pure hatred. "You're nothing," he mouthed. Sarah stood, tall and proud. "I'm everything you tried to destroy and failed," she said loudly enough for the court to hear. At sentencing 2 weeks later, victim impact statements lasted an entire day. But it was Emma's that destroyed any remaining sympathy for Marcus. "You're my biological father," she said, "but you were never my dad. Dads protect. They nurture. They love. You did none of those things. You're going to prison for a long time, and the world will be safer for it. But the real punishment is that you'll spend every day knowing that the useless woman you tried to destroy is thriving. Mom's successful.
She's loved.
She's free. And you're exactly what you always said she was, nothing." The judge sentenced Marcus to 35 years without possibility of parole for 20. As Marcus was led away, he screamed one last time. "I'll get out. I'll find you. You'll never be safe." The judge added 5 years for threatening witnesses. Outside the courthouse, Sarah stood with Emma, Rebecca, Eleanor, and their army of supporters. The February sun was bright, almost blinding after the darkness of the courtroom. How do you feel? A reporter asked. Sarah thought for a moment. Like I can finally breathe. That evening, they held a celebration at Rebecca's restaurant. Survivors who'd testified shared stories of their own healing. Diana announced she was starting a foundation with the settlement money from Marcus's assets. The Mitchell Survivors Fund would provide legal assistance to domestic abuse victims.
Eleanor stood to speak.
I failed Sarah for years. I enabled my son's behavior through silence and denial. But Sarah gave me something I didn't deserve, forgiveness and a place in her family. I'm legally adopting her as my daughter, ensuring she and Emma will always have the family support they deserve. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. As the evening wound down, Emma pulled Sarah aside. Mom, I've been thinking. I want to change my last name. I don't want to be Emma Mitchell anymore. Sarah's heart ached for her daughter's pain. What do you want to be called? Emma Brooks. After Grandma. The grandmother who would have protected us if she'd lived. Sarah hugged her daughter tight. She did protect us, baby. She left us the strength to protect ourselves. Later that night, as Sarah tucked Emma into bed in their new apartment, smaller but filled with peace, Emma asked, "Do you think he'll really change in prison?" Sarah considered lying, offering false hope. But they'd built their new life on truth.
No, sweetheart.
People like your father don't change. They just find new people to blame. But that's his burden to carry, not ours. I feel sorry for him sometimes, Emma admitted. Is that wrong?
No.
It means you have empathy, something he never had. But feeling sorry for someone doesn't mean accepting their abuse. You can pity the person he could have been while protecting yourself from the person he chose to be. Emma nodded, understanding beyond her years.
Mom?
We're going to be okay, aren't we? Sarah kissed her forehead. We already are. As Emma slept, Sarah stood at the window, looking at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Marcus sat in a cell, alone with his rage. But here, in this small apartment filled with love and truth, Sarah and Emma were finally home. The useless woman had won everything. The powerful man had lost it all. And the world kept turning, a little bit safer, a little bit more just, because one woman had finally said, "No more." 2 years had passed since Marcus's sentencing. Sarah stood in her corner office at Morrison Design Group, now as Chief Creative Director, looking at the city skyline. Her team had just won the National Design Excellence Award, and the trophy sat on her desk next to a photo of Emma at her MIT early admission celebration. The peace was shattered by her assistant's nervous knock. "Ms. Brooks? There's a William Hoffman here from the state attorney's office." Sarah's blood chilled. She knew this day might come. Hoffman entered, his expression grim. "Ms. Brooks, I need to inform you that Marcus Mitchell has been cooperating with federal authorities on a corruption case. In exchange for his testimony against Judge Harold Brennan and several dirty cops, he's been offered a sentence reduction." How much of a reduction? He could be out in 5 years instead of 20. Sarah sank into her chair. He's only served 2 years. I know. But his information has led to 12 arrests in a major corruption ring. The FBI considers it valuable enough to deal. That evening, Sarah broke the news to Emma, now 16 and thriving at MIT despite her young age. Emma took it with the strange calm she developed during the trial years. "So, he found another way to manipulate the system," Emma said over video call. "We knew he would." "You're not scared?"
I'm furious.
"But not scared. He has no power over us anymore, Mom." But Marcus wasn't done destroying lives from prison. The corruption case revealed he'd been paying guards to smuggle out letters to his supporters, maintaining a network of people who believed his victim narrative. One of them was Andrew Fitzgerald, a men's rights activist with a popular podcast. Andrew started a campaign called Justice for Marcus, painting Sarah as the face of false accusations culture. He doxed her work address, her new home, even Emma's dorm at MIT. The harassment began immediately: death threats, vandalism, crowds of angry men protesting outside Morrison Design. Catherine Morrison refused to cave. "If they think they can intimidate us into firing you, they're wrong. We're doubling security and standing by you." But the stress was affecting everyone. Emma had to be moved to a secure dorm. Sarah couldn't go anywhere without bodyguards. The life they'd built was under siege again. Diana Winters, still Sarah's lawyer, filed injunctions against Andrew and his followers, but the damage was spreading. Marcus had given Andrew recordings from prison, selectively edited conversations where he sounded reasonable, remorseful, even gentle. "Listen to this monster," Andrew would say sarcastically on his podcast, playing Marcus's edited recordings. A loving father just wanting to see his daughter. The recordings never included Marcus's violent outbursts or his continued threats against Sarah, carefully curated to support his narrative. Then something unexpected happened. Thomas Mitchell, Marcus's cousin who'd been arrested for stalking Sarah, reached out from his own jail cell. "I want to make things right," he told Diana. "Marcus manipulated me too. I have recordings of our conversations, the real ones." Him admitting everything, laughing about it. Thomas had been secretly recording Marcus for months before his arrest, initially to have leverage, but eventually because he'd grown disturbed by his cousin's admissions. In the recordings, Marcus bragged about the abuse. The best part was making her think she was crazy. "I'd move things, deny conversations, drug her drinks." God, the look on her face when she couldn't remember things. He laughed about his affairs. Vanessa was the dumbest. 26, and thought she was special. They all think they're special until they're not useful anymore. And most damningly, he detailed his plans. "When I get out, and I will get out, I'm going to finish what I started." Sarah thinks she's safe. She's not. None of them are. Diana immediately took the recordings to the FBI. The sentence reduction deal was revoked. Marcus would serve his full term, and new charges were added for conspiracy to commit murder and witness intimidation. The trial for the new charges began in September. This time, Sarah watched Marcus enter the courtroom looking truly broken. Prison had not been kind to him. His hair was completely gray, his once powerful frame skeletal, his eyes hollow. But when he saw Sarah, that familiar rage flickered. He mouthed something at her, but she simply turned away. She wouldn't give him even that small acknowledgement. The new trial was swift. Thomas's recordings were devastating. Andrew Fitzgerald, subpoenaed to testify, admitted Marcus had paid him $50,000 from a hidden account to run the harassment campaign. "I thought I was fighting for men's rights," Andrew said on the stand, clearly trying to salvage his reputation. "But Marcus played me. He's not a victim. He's a predator who weaponized my platform." Marcus took the stand in his own defense again, but this time, his charm was completely gone. He ranted about conspiracies, claimed the recordings were fake, accused everyone from the judge to his own lawyer of being part of Sarah's coven. "You're all under her spell," he screamed. "She's a witch. She's destroyed everything good and pure." The judge had him removed after he tried to lunge at the prosecutor. The jury took 30 minutes to convict on all new charges. Marcus received an additional life sentence without parole. As the verdict was read, Eleanor stood up in the gallery. "You're not my son," she said loudly. "You never were. You're just a stranger who wore my family's name like a disguise." Marcus's face crumpled. For the first time, Sarah saw him truly break. Not the performed breakdowns for sympathy, but genuine collapse. He'd lost his last ally, his last connection to the identity he'd stolen. 5 years had passed since the first trial. Sarah's design firm, which she'd founded after leaving Morrison to start her own company, employed 30 people, all survivors rebuilding their lives. The office was bright, collaborative, revolutionary in its approach to work-life balance and trauma-informed management. Emma, now 19, was graduating from MIT with dual degrees in computer science and psychology. She developed an app called Document It that helped abuse victims safely record evidence, already downloaded 2 million times and credited with helping thousands escape dangerous situations. It was a Thursday morning when the call came. "Ms. Brooks? This is Warden Davidson from Richmond Maximum Security. I'm calling about Marcus Mitchell." Sarah's hand tightened on the phone. "Is he dead?"
"No, ma'am."
"But there's been an incident. Due to a clerical error in our system during a software update, Marcus was mistakenly processed for temporary compassionate release. His mother, Eleanor Mitchell, was listed as critically ill. Eleanor's been dead for 2 years, Sarah said flatly.
We know that now.
The error has been corrected, but Marcus was released 6 hours ago before we caught it. We have teams searching, but you need to take precautions. Sarah's mind went into overdrive. She immediately called Emma, who was in her campus lab. Pack nothing. Leave now. Go to Rebecca's. I'll meet you there. Mom, what? He's out. Emma didn't need more explanation. She grabbed her laptop and ran. Sarah's security team evacuated the office while she called Diana, the FBI, everyone who needed to know. An emergency protective detail was assigned, but Sarah knew Marcus too well. He'd been planning for this possibility. By evening, there'd been sightings. Marcus had been seen at a storage unit he'd kept under a false name, retrieving something. Then at a hardware store, buying rope, tape, and a hunting knife. The purchases were deliberate, meant to be noticed, meant to terrorize. Sarah, Emma, and Rebecca barricaded themselves in Rebecca's high-security building. Michael was there too, having become Sarah's husband the previous year in a quiet ceremony Marcus knew nothing about. He'll come here, Sarah said with certainty. He knows we're here. This is where he'll make his stand. Then we'll be ready, Michael said, checking the baseball bat he kept by the door. They didn't have to wait long. At 3 a.m., the building's alarm system activated. Marcus had somehow gotten past the initial security. The cameras showed him in the lobby, no longer the polished lawyer or even the broken prisoner. He looked feral, talking to himself, carrying a crowbar. I know you're watching, he called out to the cameras. Sarah, my wife, my property, come down here and face me. The police were already on their way, but Marcus had chained the building's doors from the outside first. It would take them time to get in. Stay here, Sarah said, standing up.
Mom, no.
Emma grabbed her arm. I'm not running anymore. And I'm not hiding. Sarah looked at her daughter, her sister, her husband. He needs to see that he has no power over me, over any of us. She walked to the elevator, despite their protests, and descended to the lobby. Marcus stood there, crowbar in hand, looking like a shadow of the man who'd once terrorized her. His clothes were ill-fitting, stolen or bought from a thrift store. His face was gaunt, marked with prison tattoos he'd probably gotten to look tough. He was pathetic. Hello, Marcus. Don't call me that, he screamed. I'm your husband. You're supposed to call me. You're nothing to me, Sarah interrupted, her voice steady. You're just a sad, broken man who confused fear with respect, control with love. He raised the crowbar. I'll kill you. No, you won't. Sarah took a step forward. Because then it would be over. And what would you have left? You need me to exist. You need me to hate. Without me, you're exactly what you always feared, nobody. Shut up. You called me useless. Pathetic. Lazy. Worthless. Another step forward. But look at us now. I built an empire. Our daughter is a genius who's changing the world.
And you?
You're a crazy man with a crowbar, about to go back to prison forever. Our daughter is nothing to you. She was only ever an extension of your ego, a tool for control. She sees you clearly now. We both do. The police sirens were getting closer. Marcus heard them too, his head swiveling like a trapped animal. This isn't over, he snarled. Yes, it is. Sarah pulled out her phone, showing it was recording. Everything you've said is being live-streamed. 50,000 people are watching. They all see who you really are. Marcus's face went white. He looked at the cameras, suddenly aware of how he must look. Deranged, violent. Everything he'd always denied being. You set me up, he whispered. No, Marcus. You set yourself up. Every choice, every cruelty, every moment you chose domination over love. This is where it led. The police broke through the doors. Marcus spun around, raising the crowbar, and Sarah knew he was going to force them to shoot him. Suicide by cop, his final act of control. Don't give him what he wants. Sarah shouted to the officers. He wants you to kill him. Don't let him win. The officers held their fire. One of them, a woman, stepped forward with a taser. Mr. Mitchell, drop the weapon. Marcus laughed bitterly. Mitchell. That was never really my name anyway. He dropped the crowbar and fell to his knees, sobbing. Not the performed tears of the past, but the genuine grief of a man who'd finally run out of masks to wear. As they cuffed him, he looked back at Sarah one last time. I loved you once. Before you changed. No, Sarah replied. You loved who you thought you could make me become. When I refused to disappear, you called it betrayal. That's not love, Marcus. It never was. They dragged him away, and Sarah knew with absolute certainty she would never see him again. Not because he wouldn't try, but because she was done giving him space in her life, even as an enemy. Emma, Rebecca, and Michael had watched everything from the security office. When Sarah returned, Emma ran to her, both of them crying. You are so brave, Emma whispered. No, baby. I was just done being afraid. The next morning, news of Marcus's capture was everywhere. The live stream had indeed gone viral, not just the confrontation, but Sarah's calm demolition of his power. Women around the world shared it with #NoMorePower, turning Sarah's stand into a movement. Marcus was sentenced to life in solitary confinement, no possibility of parole, no chance of early release. The judge, a woman who'd quietly followed Sarah's case for years, made a point of stating that Marcus would die in prison alone, forgotten. 6 months later, Sarah stood in front of the new Mitchell Survivor Center, funded by the complete liquidation of Marcus's hidden assets finally recovered by the FBI. The building would provide free legal services, therapy, and emergency shelter for abuse survivors. Emma gave the dedication speech. This center is named after Mitchell not to honor him, but to reclaim the name, to transform it from a symbol of abuse to a beacon of survival. Every person who walks through these doors will know that the man who bore this name tried to destroy my mother and failed. His legacy isn't his cruelty, it's our survival. As the ribbon was cut, Sarah thought about that horrible night 5 years ago when Marcus had sneered those words at the anniversary party. Look at your mother, pathetic, lazy, useless. She looked around at the 100 people gathered, survivors, supporters, her family, her thriving business, her brilliant daughter. She thought about Marcus in his cell, truly alone, truly useless, truly nothing. Mom, Emma touched her arm. You okay? Sarah smiled, pulling her daughter close. I'm perfect, baby. We both are. Inside the center, the first office visitors would see had a plaque with Sarah's favorite quote from her blog, the one that had resonated with millions. They call us useless when we stop being useful to them. But our worth was never determined by their use of us. We are valuable because we exist, we survive, and we rise. That night, in the home she shared with Michael, a home full of laughter and warmth and safety, Sarah received a call from the prison. Ms. Brooks? Marcus Mitchell requested we inform you that he's written you a letter. Should we forward it? No, Sarah said without hesitation. And please remove me from his contact list entirely. I have nothing more to say to or hear from that man. She hung up and found Emma and Michael making dinner together, dancing to music Marcus would have called noise, making a mess he would have raged about, living with a freedom he tried to steal. Everything okay? Michael asked, noting her expression. Everything's perfect, Sarah said, joining their dance. Everything's finally perfect. Later, as she tucked Emma in, a ritual they'd maintained even though Emma was far too old for it, her daughter asked, Do you think he still believes his version of the story? That you're the villain? Sarah considered the question. Probably. People like him rarely change their narrative. It's all they have left. Does that bother you? No, Sarah said honestly. Because his version only exists in his cell. Out here, in the real world, we wrote our own ending. Emma smiled. And it's a good one. The best, Sarah agreed, kissing her forehead. The absolute best. As Sarah turned out the light, Emma called out, Mom, I love you. The real you. The strong, brilliant, brave you. I love you too, baby. Forever and always. Walking to her own bedroom, Sarah passed the mirror in the hallway. She stopped looking at her reflection. The woman staring back wasn't the ghost Marcus had tried to create. She was solid, real, successful, loved. She was everything he'd said she wasn't. She was everything. And somewhere, in a concrete cell, the man who'd tried to convince her she was nothing sat alone with his delusions, forgotten by the world, his voice finally, permanently silenced. The useless one had never been her. It had always been him. Have you ever stayed silent when someone tried to erase your worth, not knowing that your silence was actually gathering strength for the moment you'd finally roar? Like this video if Sarah's story resonated with you, and subscribe for more powerful stories of survival and triumph.